Gavin, thanks for joining us.
Cheers, Alex.
Welcome to Branching Out here at Long Branch Homes, as we can see just behind us, and the camera will grab it as we go past. You're quite surprised by this location, aren't you? And you didn't. Am I right in saying you didn't know we had a beach here either?
No, it's a nice surprise. Obviously, I live nowhere near the sea, so it's a real treat for me to be able to come down. And you've got so many beaches here, and looking forward to getting down more often. I need to get up early in the morning to have a walk down. I wish I could run, but long gone are those days where I can still run.
This is episode 2 of Branching Out. You saw episode 1 with Darren Kelly. What do you make of that one?
Darren can talk a glass eye to sleep.
Yeah,
Darren, typical Irishman. But I'm sure my interview will be a little bit shorter than Darren's.
We're going to have a general chat about everything Hartlepool United at the moment. But how are you? How's the nerves? How's the excitement as we, when this comes out, we'll probably be pretty close to that Barnet game.
No nerves at the moment. Obviously, first game of the season there will be. There's obviously expectations on us to do well, and hopefully, we'll be pushing at the top end of the table. That's where we need to be, and we need to get back up as soon as we can.
What have you made of your pre-season so far? It's so hard to judge, isn't it? But you've had trialists come in, you've had new signings come in, you've had to deal with injuries. We've still got, at this moment, we've still got Redcar, Harrogate, and Sunderland to play. But how have you seen it up to now?
It's gone well as regards we haven't had many injuries. No sort of pulls, which is the main thing. No muscle injuries. The couple of injuries that we've had have been impact injuries. So no, that's the main thing, that we've been able to work them hard without pushing them too much. But we need to be, the fittest, strongest team in the league. And that's what the aim of the players is, to, when they go out there, it gives them confidence that they can run harder than anybody else in the league.
I mentioned we're going to talk everything Hartlepool United, but this is an opportunity for us to talk to you personally about you and your journey through football and the many adventures that you will have had. But during your playing career, I know you're an attacking player. Did you know back then, especially when you were coming towards the end of your playing career, that management was going to be for you?
No, not at all. I just played because I loved playing. My dad had been a professional footballer. All my brothers had played, and it was just to follow on. I just liked playing. I never really thought of going into management, and then I was lucky that I got offered the reserve team manager's job at Maxfield while I was still playing, and it just snowballed from there. I was quite successful running that team, and it's just carried on. So I've been fortunate, and every day I think I'm really lucky to be involved in football, and I just hope it can continue.
What was that like as a full family of footballers? And I bet was your mother into football as well? With all the boys there?
She had no choice.
Yeah.
Very often she was watching strips. My dad ran a local team, so she'd end up watching the kit. But no, it was great to be brought up in that environment where, even now, the football daft. My dad still is in his 90s, and my brothers, I would say, they're more passionate about football than I am. But no, it was great to be brought up in that environment and football meant so much. Every Saturday, we'd go watch a team, and I thoroughly enjoyed my childhood. Mainly because of football.
How much do you go back to them, or even your dad, about advice, or their thoughts, or after a Saturday, after a game, giving them a ring up? How much do you speak to them about Hartlepool?
Not as much now to my dad as what I used to, because obviously he's getting older. But I still speak to my brothers, and just discuss things that have gone on, really. It's difficult to now get advice because I've been doing it for so long, and it's unique, the job. That's why it's important that you've got, like, Lenny Lawrence is attached to Hartlepool, and to be able to talk to such as Lenny, who's experienced what it's like to be a manager, which, as I say, unless you've done the job, you don't really understand what impact it has on people.
Hartlepool United then, back in the National League, it's obviously not where you or any of us wanted to be, but there seems to be such a positivity around the place, and even with the fans as well. And we've seen it at the pre-season games. We saw it the last game of the season against Stockport. That you wouldn't think this was a side that just got relegated, would you?
No, and we've got to try and keep that positivity going. Everybody's got to feel part of the football club. It doesn't matter whether you're a player, staff, supporter. We've all got to be together in it. And obviously the most important thing is winning football games, and that'll bring us all together. But if we can, start off with all, the positive feeling that we've got, then we've got more chance of achieving something.
What was your initial thoughts when, I suppose, talk me through when you signed your contract for Hartlepool United and became the manager? What was those couple of days like in terms of the phone calls and getting the call from the chairman? How did that go?
It was something that I thought I could help. Obviously, I was bitterly disappointed that we went down, and at one stage, I thought we were going to do it. We've probably just had too much to do. We played, I think, 10 of the top 12 teams in that period, and I don't think we lost to any of them. So it showed that the players were good enough. They should have stayed in the league with what other clubs were. What I saw, there was nobody we played that I thought we got, out-footballed or outran. It was just, we had just too much to do in those last 13 games. But, you still look at yourself and think, could have done more. And obviously, you're always trying to learn. But I was mostly disappointed for the supporters, as I think everybody was. It wasn't fair. I think they deserved more than that.
You talk about your younger self and not expecting at the time to go into management, but if you could go back and give your younger self one bit of advice, with the hindsight, whether it's about Hartlepool, whether it's about coaching in general, what would you give it?
I think as a footballer, I think I'd have worked harder than what not that I didn't work hard on the pitch. I think off the pitch I needed to have worked harder than what I did. And as regards football manager, I think the coaching side, it's more about managing players than anything, and being, and players can come to you and they know where they stand with you. And I think that's just something you learn as you go along. Hopefully, it's something that I'm good at. But the only thing that matters now is not what's gone, it's what's in front of you, and hopefully I'm the right person to get some success back for Hartlepool.
How much has the game changed since you were last in it, in terms of, as you were saying, of being approachable for players, that that arm around the shoulder cliche, players coming to you when they need you, whether that's for personal advice or whether it's how they're getting on the pitch at the moment? Has that changed a lot since you were a player?
It's changed massively. Like when I played and after I played, managers wouldn't tell you the reason why they were shouting at you. They would just shout at you. If you didn't win, you were not very good. If you won, everything was great the majority of the time. But now, I think children now are different. So and then as we get them as they get older, they ask more questions. They want answers. And so you've got to try and have the answers, and long gone are the days where you can shout and bawl at players. It's more of a team thing, and making sure that everybody's on board, and we all want the same thing. So it has changed. But my daughter's a teacher, my brother's a teacher, and talking to them, I know the difference it is now for children at school, and obviously those children are coming out and playing football. So there is a massive change in youngsters now. Does
your daughter get involved much in terms of you speaking to her about football, or as you said, her being a teacher, you're speaking to her about how she's doing with the kids, and obviously with our youth players coming through, how much do you speak to her about stuff like that?
I talk to her about football because she's mad about football. She played a little bit when she was younger. She's obsessed like the rest of us, which is nice when you've got a daughter. But yeah, it's as I say, the whole family we're all involved in some form or other. but like you say, teaching. You know, she tells me her experiences, and I can use those experiences that she's had, because with being younger, she knows how to handle those situations better than what I would, because I wouldn't be able to be a teacher nowadays.
When you look back at your playing career and your managerial career that you've had up to now, then what would you say is your best ever moment? Obviously, you know, you're going to want to recreate success with Hartlepool United here, but what's one moment that stands out for you?
Best moment was getting promoted with Macclesfield, because I'd done it as a player, and we got into the Football League, and again we got the football club was demoted into the National League, and it looked as though there was no way that we'd ever get back up into the Football League, and with the lowest budget, we somehow managed to win the league with 92 points, and that was a massive achievement. You know, we've got 3 players going into the season signed. That was in the July, so that was the biggest achievement, and obviously we've been at the club for so long. I was desperate to try and get us back into the league, and lucky enough we did. So, but I don't like to go back. It's always about the next journey, and you know, everybody at Hartlepool obviously wants us to get promoted, and I'm desperate for us to do so.
I know you say you don't go back, but do you see many similarities in your time from Macclesfield, as you said, getting demoted and then trying to get that team back up there, and you know, what will you take from that to try and inject into this Hartlepool United side?
It's totally different. I think we've got more of a chance than what Macclesfield had at the start of that season. But if you can get into the players the same attitude as the Macclesfield players had then, we've got more than enough ability to achieve something. You need a little bit of good fortune and things go right for you, especially with injuries. But yeah, it is different. And as I say, going into the season, we're probably more hopeful than what I was back then.
Your current squad then, people have left, people have come in, 7 have come in as we speak in this video, and I just wanted to go through a couple of them and get your overall thoughts. So we'll obviously start with the 2 goalkeepers, Dixon and Jameson. And a lot of fans, you know, may say our goalkeeping situation now is probably in the National League is probably the best it's ever been in a couple of years.
I've always had decent keepers. I think if you want to achieve something, you need good goalkeepers. And Joel and Peter, I think, provide that. They provide competition for each other. I think if you haven't got that, then it becomes difficult in training. But yeah, I was really pleased to get the 2 of them, and they get on really well, which is important. So I'm looking forward to not seeing too much of them next season. Hopefully they don't have to do too much, but when called upon, as we saw on Saturday, hopefully they can make a big difference to us.
How hard's that choice going to be when it comes to Barnet? I know we'll see both of them throughout the season, but how hard will the decision be to choose who's your number 1 on the opening day?
Again, it comes down to who you think's done the best. You know, both of them have performed well. I don't think either of them have made a mistake yet. So it'll be a nice decision to make, because both of them are playing well.
One of the first signs we did make was Kieran Burton, who came from Scarborough. Highly rated, highly recommended, and obviously what I've seen of him, what the fans are saying, you can see his athleticism, powerful, speed. How do you rate Kieran Burton's chances of being a part of this Hartlepool United first team?
Again, with Kieran, as you say, he's come in, he's done quite well. I think we forget he's only 19, and if he can hold his own in national level at 19, he'll be doing really well. So we'll just have to see how he goes. Hopefully by training full time, which he wasn't before, that'll be a big help to him. And you know, there's a lot of improvement for Kieran to come.
I want to mention both Mannies. I'm not even going to bother with their second names, but we'll go with Manny O at the back and Manny D up front. Starting off with Manny O, obviously came in recently, and we've only just seen him at Blythe. Was that a real coup signing?
I think it's what we needed. We lacked that last season. That little bit of experience, athleticism, strength, and we saw a little bit of that at Blythe. I think You could see the pace that he got. He's a good passer of the ball, and he's decent in the air. So I was happy that we managed to get him, prize him away from Dagenham, and it's what we needed.
One of the things, we'll get onto the rest of them, but one of the big things I've noticed about the new signings that have come in, and Manny Orr specifically, who came in the day before we went to Scotland and came straight on the Scotland trip, all great characters who have added a lot to the group and fitted straight in. I'm guessing as a manager you'll sometimes worry about how quickly can they fit in with the rest of the group, but they all just seem to bed in straight away.
I think if you've got a good group, it's easy for people to come in, and as you say, I know from talking to Manny and talking to other people about him that he is a good character, and that's important. Well, the most important thing is what they do on the football pitch. It's no use being nice off it on the pitch. Sometimes you've got to be horrible. The will to win is the most important thing when you're on that pitch, and you can be as nice as you pie off the pitch, but once you get across that line, you've got to do whatever it takes to become a winner. And I think with Manny, the two Mannys, I think they've got that little bit of edge about them as well.
You mentioned them there, but you've added your additions up front. Manny D and Chris Rea have both come in, both very different in terms of what they offer. But what have you seen from their partnership so far in the pre-season games, and what are you expecting from both of them?
I think they've linked up quite well. With obviously, as we saw in the Middlesbrough game, the first goal, that was just what you want for them to start off the career with Hartlepool. Hopefully there's more to come. They did seem to hit it off straight away, but it's something that we need to keep working at, and we've got good competition up front now, which you need.
Our latest signing, who will be announced by the time this video does go out, Anthony Mancini. In the 3.5 years I've been here, I've never seen a demand for a player so much in my life. Every post that we put out, we were inundated with sign Mancini, don't care, sign Mancini. What have you seen from Anthony Mancini? I know obviously you're not signing him on the back of the social media post, but what have you seen from Anthony Mancini that you think he'll have an impact this season?
Well, his name for a start off. His real name's Anthony Jones.
Oh, right, okay.
We just thought we'd
just add Mancini on, yeah.
Yeah, just to get people's interest.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's caught people's attention first of all. But no, he had a good game against Middlesbrough. He has got ability, which we saw. Hopefully there's more to come. He's only 22. Got decent pedigree. And as I say, you can see that he's got ability. He's got to now hopefully use that and become a good player for Hartlepool. He's still got a lot of learning to do, but we think he offers something slightly different than the rest. And again, he's come in, he's fitted in well, he's working hard, and looking forward to working with him.
If we were playing Barnet tomorrow, how would you realistically feel about our chances this year, and how do you genuinely feel we will do this year?
I think we've got as good a chance as anybody. You always need that little bit of luck, but with the players that we've got, if we can just add 2 or 3 more and get a real strong squad together, barring injuries, there's no reason why we shouldn't be competing at the top.
People obviously departed this summer as well, players that you didn't have a lot of time with. I just wanted to go over a couple of them. Jamie Sturry was one of the first to leave and obviously moved on to Doncaster. What were your discussions like with Jamie?
I didn't really have any because he'd already virtually gone. So obviously we would have liked to have kept Jamie because he's a good footballer. But he wanted to stay obviously in the Football League. Got the offer from Doncaster. So I think the deal was already done before the end of the season by the looks of it. So there was no chance. I think once we went down that we were going to keep Jamie, and I think we all know that he should be playing higher. I think if his injury record was better, I think he would be playing higher.
Ben Killips recently got his move to Barnsley, and I know you played Jakub Stolicek, who was on loan from Leicester a lot last season, but was there a part of you after that Stockport game, last game of the season, where you thought, what a keeper we've got here?
No, he had a great game, and everything he's a really good shot stopper, and again we offered Ben, but when the opportunity obviously come along, and to get a club like Barnsley, whether he's playing first team or not, he'll probably go in there as second choice. I suppose that was something that was too big a pull for him.
I obviously want to talk about Nicky Featherstone. I know, you're being quite open and honest about the whole thing, and your last words were, at the moment it's very much unlikely that Nicky Featherstone will be a Hartlepool United player next season. We'll obviously put full confirmation out once that unlikely becomes definite, but let's just go on that Nicky Featherstone will not be a Hartlepool player next season. What's that been like with Nicky? Because a 9-year servant, and I think, respectfully, that all we can say to him is thank you for everything that you've done for this football club.
Yeah, I would have, tried to keep Nicky. I think he would have been a good part of the team. I'd offered him to come on the coaching staff as well as playing. I think it was just timing as much as anything that it hasn't happened. But I'm with you that we just wish him all the best. He's always conducted himself in a good way. I think he's been a really good footballer, still is. And I think wherever he ends up, then he's still got a little bit left in him.
I just wanted to get a little bit of an insight then into, an everyday life of John Askey at Hartlepool United. You've also got yourself, you've got Mark Goodlad, who's now taken up a little bit more of a goalkeeper coach role as well, and obviously Tony Sweeney. How do the three years work together? I know we've got plenty more staff in there, whether it's the physios or S&Cs, but how do the 3 years work together when it comes to decisions on players, match days, tactics?
I think it works well. We all get on. I think we sing off the same end sheet, same messages to the players, which is the most important thing. I thought it was important when I came in to get Tony involved because he's got so much feeling for the club and wants the club to do well.
Can you see why Tony is so adored here? Not in terms of, his status as a legend, as a player, but how much work and effort he puts into a lot of behind the scenes.
He's really thorough, and like you say, his work ethic is very good. He's been a massive help to me since I came in, and continues to be like that. But it's important that the staff get on, and we do. As I say, we talk every day. It's important that you get the views of other people, like with Sweens and Mark, because they might see something that I don't see. We tried to come up with the right solution to help the players, and so far it's worked well. And we're quite a close-knit team now, which I think is important. You don't want too many people, too many voices, and I think it's working well.
I know you and Mark haven't been through the door long, and obviously the relegation happened, and you said you'll be open and honest with us. Was there ever any doubt whatsoever that you didn't want to manage in the National League with Hartlepool United, with obviously your ambitions to work Football League?
Yeah, obviously that was the big reason why I took on the job, was because I wanted to manage in the Football League again. And as I said before, I was bitterly disappointed that we went down, because I was desperate to stay up, because that's where I wanted to manage. But when the club still wanted me to stay, I was really pleased, because the supporters have been really good to me. People who are in and around the area, they're really friendly. But the most important thing is, I want to try and get the club back to where they should be, because they should be a league club.
And that's obviously the shared ambition from you, from the owner, from everyone at the football club, is that we want to be back in the Football League, just like everybody does. And has that been the type of conversations you've had with the chairman when it comes to the budget, the players that you're bringing in? Is that, we want a budget, we want a squad that is going to compete? And what's been your relationship like with Raj?
It's been good. When I spoke to him, he's passionate about football. I think obviously there was that bit of a blip when everybody sort of, I think when you go down, everybody's so disappointed, himself obviously probably more so than anybody. But within sort of a week, 2 weeks, I think he got back back on the horse as such, and you know he was phoning and you know, anything that I wanted, as you know, within reason, then he would try and help as much as he could, and that's nice to have. You've got to have a good relationship with the owner, and I feel as though I've got that with Raj, and long may it continue. But yeah, he's again, like me, like the rest of the supporters, he's desperate for us to try and get back into the league.
The club's obviously up for sale. Obviously, I know you don't get involved with that side whatsoever, but is this something you're used to by now with the clubs that you've been at?
Yeah, as I say, it's happened at one or two clubs that I've been at, but that's not an excuse for me not doing my job properly. What will happen behind the scenes happens, and we as staff, players, you just get on with it. As I say, we're getting paid. I'm happy with the budget that we've got, so there's no complaints from me. If somebody else came in, then obviously you look at the situation, but at the moment, you know, I'm able to get on with my job, and it enables me to do the best possible job I can without too much interference. You
mentioned the chairman continues to back you despite the situation. You said you slapped 2 or 3 more. Where on the field do you believe that we need to strengthen the most?
We need cover at right back. Again, Doddsy can play there, but probably his best position is right side of the 3. Possibly another City midfield player, and we're not far off then. You know, maybe another wide man, but no, it's probably 2 or 3, and then we're not too far off.
At the moment in pre-season, in terms of tactics, I know you always want to explore and look at different things. We've seen a back 5, we've seen a back 4, we've seen different players tested, different formations tested. Are you settled yet on what your starting formation will be and how you want to set up? And I'm guessing the football will be pretty similar to what we saw towards in the season, attacking football.
Yeah, I think it's important that we close down and don't give teams time on the ball. We've got to go and press teams. Our supporters don't want to see us sat back playing tippy-tappy football. They want to see the ball going forward quickly, but controlled. And you know, you can do that and still play decent football. But at the end of the day, it's how we feel best to get results. If we go some places and you can't play for whatever reason, whether it's the weather or the pitch, then we got to adapt. And that's a big thing in this league, is being able to adapt to conditions, surfaces and weather, because unlike the Football League, there's 1 or 2 more pitches where it's a little bit more open, so you've got to be aware of that as well. But no, as I say, I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to working with this group of players, because as you know, we've got some decent lads there this season.
You said it there, you know, the fans don't want to see the tippy-tappy stuff. They want to see us attacking, free-flowing football, goals galore, and which I know that's not always the case, but how much have you recognised, I know you've been at different clubs that are quite similar, but how much have you recognised how much people love this football club in this town? It's obviously, you know, it's a one-club town. People, you know, work Monday to Friday just to come, you know, to the Suit Direct on a Saturday. What have you seen of this community in this town that you've seen, obviously, in the stands every week?
Well, when you come, and it's not only in the ground, it's after, you know, people are still at the football club after the game, and it means a lot. You know, communities like this, the football club is the main hub, really, and you can just say how they got behind us when we were losing. You know, not many football clubs do that, and that is caring more about the football club than trying to support the club as much as they can, and not venting their anger when it's easy to vent your anger. And they didn't do that. They really try their hardest to get behind the players and keep their team in the Football League, and that will remain with me when I've left here, because inevitably that's what happens to managers. But no, the support so far has been unbelievable.
We're coming towards the end of part 1 now. In part 2, we're going to answer some of the fans' questions online. But just finally from here, if you had a message for the Hartlepool United fans if the season was to start tomorrow, and as we look ahead towards a 23-24 National League campaign, what is your message as the manager to the fans of Hartlepool United?
Just get behind us and support us, not only when we're playing well, but when we need that lift. Try your hardest not to get frustrated, but that's when we need you most, when things are not going quite so well on the pitch. Because when teams come here and you really get behind us, it has a massive effect on teams. We saw that in the games at the back end of the season. As the game went on, we got stronger and stronger, and a lot of that was to do with the support, and you could see teams buckle. That was even teams who were doing well at the time, and it made a massive difference to us.
Gavin?
Cheers, Annie.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Did that a couple of times. Right, Gaffer, we sat down because we've obviously asked the fans for a couple of questions, and as always they've delivered. Just before I get into the questions, how have you found the Hartlepool United fans? You know, they travel near and far, home and away, obviously excellent support. It was obviously a tough end of the season, but you were really surprised with how much a relegated side was backed in the end.
I think that's a big thing, is that it has surprised me to get the support that we got at the back end. In the position we're in, was amazing, and we couldn't ask any more of the supporters. And it's like when we played Stockport at the end of the season, nothing to play for. I know we got a result, but you would have thought we'd stayed up on that result, and to get behind the players like they did, and then clap them as they come off when you've been relegated. I don't think there's many clubs where that would happen.
They obviously brought the numbers to Stockport, but you think back to some of the more positive moments, like Grimsby away, and obviously the draw with Bradford took real numbers over 1,000 to both. And I know you were concentrating on the game, but when you go over after, the amount that we take to those away games and the noise that they make, you sometimes think that that's the home crowd.
Yeah, as I say, the distances they have to travel as well. But they really get behind the players, and we couldn't have asked any more. They couldn't have done any more to try and help us stay up. Obviously, at that point when we played Bradford and Grimsby, we were still in with a great shout. Obviously, the big disappointment was the game at home, and it just fell flat. And obviously, we were all disappointed. But even after that game, they still got behind us, and it was incredible. So. No, I'm looking forward to the season, and hopefully we can give them something to shout about because they deserve it.
Right, getting into the questions then. First question of the afternoon. What are your 3 non-negotiables when it comes to what you expect from your players and or staff?
It's a difficult one. Be on time. Train your best. And on match days, give your best. I think that's all the supporters ask, is that you work hard, and I think if you work hard, your ability comes through. But the supporters can see that, and that's the same for me. If they go out there and give it their all, you can't ask any more than that.
You talk about being on time.
You were late today.
Yeah, okay. So I was about to mention the fines. I think
you've been fined more than anybody else at the football club since I've been here.
I was about to mention the fine system, but I don't know whether I should now. But anyway, the fine system, how much stress do you put on that? And I'm guessing you hand that over to the players type of thing in terms of setting the prices of being on time and a couple of other things that, what's a couple of other things that you might have on there?
Yeah, it's a strange environment, football environment, and you need to do those things to keep everybody in check. If you don't have it, then things go awry and people start to do what they want to do. So I think at most football clubs it's the same, but it is really important that you keep that in place and you keep that discipline. And I think that, again, it transfers onto the football pitch.
There's a couple of questions obviously about your expectations for this season, but one here, which we will get to, but one here says, who do you think will be the main challenges at the top end of the table, and why?
I think you look for the bigger clubs such as Chesterfield and Oldham, where they've got the support and obviously good backing. I think York could be a surprise. They've spent heavily, on transfers and players that they brought in. And then you've got the London clubs who tend to be up there, Bromley, Boreham Wood. So, but I think it's more open this year with Wrexham and obviously Notts County going out.
7 signings have come through the door, maybe more when this video goes out, we don't know. In terms of your squad numbers, the question here is, do you prefer to work with a big group or a smaller squad? What's been your preference when you've been at previous clubs, and what would be your preference as you start the start of the season?
I think ideally you're running with a squad of around about 22, 24. And then if you get injuries, then you're looking to add to it with maybe loans. But with having a youth team as well, if you've got some players in the youth team who can join in training and then push for a place, then obviously, you're hoping that somebody will come out of there as well. So you don't want to block the door for development of players. But again, it depends on how strong your youth team is. So, but we've looked at 1 or 2 lads and they've done quite well when they've come into the first team.
I was just about to mention there, Louis Stevenson, who we've seen in fullback a couple of times, Campbell Darcy came on at centre back against Middlesbrough. They both came to Scotland as well. What have you made of the 2 young lads as they have their first real taste of professional football?
They've handled it well. The 2 of them are very fit and strong, and as I say, when they've got into the games or they've trained, then they've held their own. How far they can go, it's up to them, and we'll see. But if we feel somebody's really pushing, then we've got to try and give people a chance, and then it encourages more people to sign for the football club, and you probably get a better standard of play at your team level. But still, the most important thing is that you get results, and that's my biggest priority. And hopefully this season we'll be pushing. Sticking
with the, I suppose, youngster theme, but someone who is and has been around the first team picture for a while, Joe Gray's been mentioned quite a lot in the questions, and one here says Joe Gray didn't get a chance to feature as much last season. Will he be given the opportunity this season, or will it be best for him to go out on loan? Watching him against Middlesbrough showed great signs of movement and calmness on the ball.
Yeah, Joe's got a lot of ability, and pre-season he's got to obviously show what he can do. We've seen, as you say, against Middlesbrough, he did a lot of good things. What you need to do in his position is obviously we need an end product as well, or whether that's scoring or making them, and that's something that obviously Joe's got to, he's got to show us he can do that. Like all players, it's not just Joe. At this time of the season, every single one of them should be pushing for a place. But again, with Joe, it'll depend on, if he gets into the team, then obviously we want to keep him here and keep pushing him. If it isn't quite working, then he's at that age where he will need to go out and get games.
He's certainly become a fan favourite of the years for some big goals, and we all want him to succeed. But one of the next questions here is, who is a player in your current squad that you want to see succeed? I know it might be hard to pick out an individual, but is there anyone who you've looked at and thought, this is really their time, I really want them to go push on now?
I don't think that's a question I can answer. It's because every single one of them, whether they're in the team or not, I want them to do well. And that's no different who the player is. Whatever their age they are, I want them to all do well.
I'm guessing who you want to do well is the new signings that have come in. And a question here, what are your thoughts on how the new signings have settled in, and how many more do you need?
Well, when I signed them, I think it's as important that you sign the right characters as it is about ability. And they've all come in and fitted in well. And we've got a good spirit amongst the group at the moment. And hopefully that'll carry us into the season. And that togetherness can be a big factor in achieving something. So, no, as I say, I think they fitted in quite well. Time will tell, but the signs are good.
When this goes out, Anthony Mancini will have been announced as a Hartlepool United player after his I should say, a successful trial period. What did you see in Mancini before you asked him to come in on trial, and what have you seen of him as he has been on trial?
I think his ability on the ball, and again, he's somebody I think can make things happen. He's only 22. I think there's more in him. Again, we've had him in for a few weeks to find out about his character, and that with his ability and the way that we want to play, I think will suit him. So that's obviously the reason why I brought him in.
When he played against Middlesbrough, our social media was inundated with sign Mancini, anything we put out, sign Mancini. Do you ever, I'm guessing not, but do you ever take that into account at all if the fans and, kind of when they're pushing and what they want and what their opinions are and the demand of it across social media?
Supporters' opinions are not usually far off, I can say that. If he was named Joe Smith, whether there'd been such a clamour, I don't know, from Joe Smith from Hartlepool. But no, he obviously caught everybody's eye. I don't think he had as good a game as everybody made out. From what the media was saying, it's like Lionel Messi had played. He'd done all right, and he'd done enough really to show us what he can do. But time will tell. But as I say, with the ability he's got, there's no reason why he shouldn't be a good player for us.
If your name's Joe Smith from Hartlepool, there's nothing.
I apologise.
Yeah, we apologise. Okay. Moving on to the next question, we're talking about bringing people in and the targets that you've got. How do we currently identify targets? And do you believe that you have got the budget to build the side to get us back to the Football League?
Well, targets usually come from obviously experience of knowing the leagues. But at the end of the day, there's only certain players you can sign. Unless you're going to pay big transfer fees and people accept it, then you're just waiting on people's contracts running out. And there's not that many, there's not that many who you want to sign, put it that way. So it's just been there at the right time to get these players. And obviously with myself, Darren, Sweens and Mark, then obviously we've got pretty good knowledge of at this level and above and just below. So hopefully that'll stand us in good stead and we've signed the right players.
You mentioned about yourselves and Mark and Sweens having a good footballing network, and when you're speaking to players, agents, clubs, we've heard so many times over the years of the people who don't want to come to the North East, players don't want to sign up here in Hartlepool. Have you found that to be true at all?
Every club I've been to, there's always been a reason why people won't sign for you, whether you're small or it's in a bad area, whatever. I think if a lot of it comes down to the money you can pay. That's one of the things, and the way that you play, and the way that you treat people as a person when you're the manager. So wherever I've been, there's always been a problem. One thing and another. You've got to find ways of getting around that, and I still believe there's a lot of football played in the North East, a lot of good players in the North East, and majority of the people that will play for us will probably be North East or Yorkshire based, which is a big pool for players.
Someone who's not North East based and has been very much a topic of conversation for a long time, and I know you're desperate to put it to bed, but there is a question on it and people are still wondering. Mo Silla, with a smirk on your face. Someone asked, is there any chance whatsoever of Silla sorting his head out, apologising and kicking on?
I don't think so. No, I think I've answered more questions about Mo than anybody else at the football club or anybody else any player I've ever had. So as I say, I think it's dead in the water. So it's just time to move on.
This season then is obviously comes with a lot of interest especially when you're the club that drops down from the league above, and the bookies might start putting you up there as some of the favourites. And a lot of the questions that came in is, what do you think genuinely at this moment with the squad that you've got we can achieve this season?
You never know. Hopefully we need to be in the playoffs at least. So come the end of the season, we need to be pushing, and say if you can get on a good run, then anything can happen. But it's tough because there's only one that go up. But the main thing, we're in and around it, and I think if we can do that, then we won't be. It'll only be a good season if we get promoted. So, but we'll be trying our hardest to do that. But it is tough.
In terms of the new lads that have come in, one of the questions is how many Mannies is too many Mannies? We've got 2 that came in.
Yeah, it's too many when you're taking training. Yeah.
How do you differentiate between the 2 Mannies?
Manny D and Manny O. So, yeah, but yeah, I think the 2 of them coming in, they got a presence about them. I don't think we had that last season so much. We had at the back end anyway. We had 1 or 2, probably too young for the situation we're in. We tried to readdress that and try to get a little bit more experience in, a little bit more size and presence. So hopefully that will help us.
A lot of the focus across pre-season is obviously, not just the tactical work, but a lot of it is the minutes in the tank. Question here, what running drills and distances are being done? Because 12 months ago, the fitness at the start of the season did seem to be quite poor.
We, every day is measured. And it's like, I think it was on Wednesday, I think they covered something like about 15k in training, and which is far more than you'll do in a game. So that's why when we played Blythe, I know we only drew, but the amount of work that the players had done, because they did not have the rest for 6 days, and we'd hammered them for 6 days. So, but they need to get that fitness in them, because the only thing that matters is being ready for the first game of the season. So I never worry too much about results. Obviously, we're leading into Harrogate game. We want to try and get a decent performance. But the main thing is getting everybody robust and ready to go for the start of the season. Because when you're not carrying a huge squad, then it's important that we try and keep as many people fit as possible. So you need to push them, but not push them too far. You
talk about a good performance for the Harrogate game, which is coming up this week. I think this video may come out after, so we'll see what happens. But how much do you focus on that good performance? Because, we hear managers say a lot, performance, it doesn't really matter pre-season, it's all about the fitness, making sure no one comes away injured. But, you obviously want to see a positive performance, not just for yourself, but, it's so the fans have something to be positive about, isn't it?
I think probably more so this year because of being relegated, so you don't want that negativity. So you're all aware of the results, but honestly, they don't matter. I got promoted out of this league, and I think we only won 1 pre-season. When we play Barnet, it won't matter whether we beat Harrogate 5 or lost 5. The most important thing is we get the players out on the pitch that we want out there, and they're ready to go. And
we play Redcar Athletic this week, and it'll be one of them as well. If once this video comes out and we have lost, then it doesn't matter, does it, whatsoever?
No, as I say, you don't want to be losing the games to the lower teams, but if it was to happen, it's as I say, we just move on. You can't worry about things like that. But as a player, the hardest thing is to get confidence, and those games you should be getting your confidence from. So that's the only thing I worry about when we have performances, is knocking players' confidence. But I made them fully aware after the game when we played Blythe that there was reasons why 1 or 2 weren't as sharp as it would normally be, and they were aware of it as well, that they go into that game a little bit jaded.
You talked about the long-term goals a minute ago of reaching the playoffs. The question here is, what are your first 3 targets for the coming season in terms of the goals that are coming up?
My only goal is to try and get promoted, and obviously we'll be trying to win the first game, but my only goal is to try and win something, and that's all the players should be thinking about, and they'll need each other. We need to all pull together, and I think it's time as a football club that not only the players come together, the supporters feel part of it, staff feel part of it, and that's what you've got to generate if you want to be successful. And as I say, I think it's important that the players, I mean, in and around the town, they get to know the people of Hartlepool, and whether they're going into schools or into offices, whatever they need to do. I think it's really important that we are a part. The football club is a big part of Hartlepool, and we've got to show, we appreciate the people who come every week.
Perfect. Gaffer,
Cheers.
thank you very much.
Thank you. Cheers.